Ahoy there, folks! I'm Captain Benzie, and welcome back to another weekly developer Q&A video for Eve Echoes. Each week, the developers of the game take a series of questions posed by you, the community. They respond to those questions and then post the questions and responses to the official Eve Echoes Facebook page, Twitter or X account, Discord, and in-game as well. I go through these questions and the responses, and I add my own personal thoughts and opinions to this. Now, as usual, I am going to try and keep this as positive as possible. I'm not just going to go on a straight up rant because I can, but essentially, it's getting difficult. It's getting more and more difficult. Now, before we jump in on this one, I do just want to say I do apologize for all the background and that. Now that I've got a camera actually up and running, I have my new laptop. Huzzah! Thank you ever so much to everyone who helped with the entire my old laptop going thermonuclear thing. But there's still a little bit of work to do with the setup here. I may look to be streaming at some point in the future as well. I know I've been talking about that for years, but now that I'm back in the UK, stable connection is a thing. I've got a nice setup going for me here. I just need to figure out what I'm doing with all of the visuals. Anyway, let's not get into that. Weekly developer Q&A for the week of the 29th of August through to the 4th of September. Boy, FanFest is going in fast here. First question. Hello, are there any plans to fix the new ship's insurance problem? It's not a problem, it's by design. Since their release, ships such as the Navy issue battleships and cruisers like the Chameleon have IP costs that are more expensive than the ships themselves, negating the purpose of having insurance. Since everyone, for better or worse, has accepted the insurance system, it should work properly. Yes? People haven't accepted the insurance system. We just kind of have to move along with this thing. It's like it's like going out with your friends and it's the Yoko Ono of Eve Echoes, I think, is probably the best way of putting that without going too offensive on it. The basic thing, though, here is that insurance is working absolutely as intended. Basically, the way that insurance calculates its value is by looking at the market value of all the materials required to build it, plus ISK costs and things like that. Now, what this ultimately means is when you've got ships like the new Navy issue battleships, Navy issue frigates, and the Alliance tournament cruisers, the actual materials required to use them are insanely high, like insanely high. Look at how much it costs to actually build a Rifter Navy issue, for example. So insurance is then looking at the individual costs and pieces of that on the market and going, right, okay, so this is how it works. This means that when the ships first launched, all of those new materials that are used in the construction of those ships had a default value set by NetEase. So the IP cost of those is really low at the very start because it's all based on just the developers going and sort of, getting just a random direction for what they think the value should be. Then, as time goes on and people start harvesting those resources, essentially those go onto the market at ridiculous costs because everything has ridiculous costs in Eve Echoes because that's the point, and we'll come to that in a moment. Then insurance refreshes at the weekly reset and it goes, oh, well, we had these items valued at 500,000 ISK, but people are selling them for 8 billion ISK. So the insurance cost goes boof. And if you're thinking, but okay, then the ships are selling for super cheap on the market. How are people doing that? It's because, remember, these ships are also available in freaking boxes, which means the stuff you're seeing on the market probably isn't people actually building them. It's more along the lines of, oh, I got a load of boxes as part of the big spending event that I was doing. I was swiping my credit card, like it's a violin string, violin bow. And I ended up with 12 of these new ships, and because they're frigates and freaking useless in Eve Echoes, because all I do is sit in Claraland with the AI nanocore running all day and claim that I'm playing a game, people sell them because they don't want them. It's a way to get some quick ISK on the side. And so, because there's no actual inherent value to the ship, like if you build a ship, you know how much it cost all of the pieces together, so you want to add to that to make a profit. When you haven't done anything other than swipe your credit card, there is no actual value attached to that ship. So those people are going, right, okay, so what can I sell it as? And they shove it on the market at something ridiculous, and then it doesn't sell, and then a load of other people come along and they undercut each other until suddenly it's a quarter of the original asking price, and some people start to buy it, and that's how the market works, right? That's basic market economics. This means that when you look on the market, the ships cost this much. But the IP, which isn't based on what players are selling their ships at, but it's what the system thinks the ship should be based on the construction costs, is all the way up here. And that's your inherent problem with the insurance system. It also doesn't take into account things like taxes, things like that. So you end up with an IP system that is just absolutely ridiculous. This is by design, though, because those ships are going to run out eventually. The ones that people have bought and are sitting in boxes are going to run out eventually. And then people are going to have to start buying these, start actually building these and selling them that way. And so they're going to be super expensive. And they will start to come down a little bit at that point. But essentially, what you've got is an early on adoption strategy. Get people into these new ships, like the new Navy issue battleships, have the IP costs super low for that first week because it's based on, frankly, ridiculous ballparking of the estimates. Like, oh yeah, it's going to be a 20 billion-esque ship, but we're just going to set it so the IP is like 2 billion on the first day. And basically, therefore, people use them, a couple of people lose them, and they get them back through insurance. And then after that, along they come. But because these are so expensive, almost no one is going to be building them, which means when you lose them in the future, people are just going to IP them for ridiculous cost. And that then inspires you to swipe your credit card. You've just lost your Navy issue Apocalypse, and it's going to cost you 50 billion or whatever to buy it off the market. I'm ballparking. Oh, it's not that expensive, Benzie. I don't care. I'm not going to buy it off the market and then have to ship it all the way back. I'm not going to find someone local to buy it because they haven't got the materials, because the materials are stupidly expensive. Screw it. I will just swipe my credit card for Plex and I'll use that to use the IP to get it back. That's the point. It's another way for NetEase to inspire you to use your credit card rather than gameplay. And remember I said I'm going to put a pin in that and come back to it? Because, yeah, I've had a lot of people comment that, oh, the AI nanocores, they're part of the game because people like me, I work so hard. We don't, we're not all like you, Benzie. We can't just sit and play games all day. Not that I can, but that's a different matter. We can't sit and play games all day. I've got work from 9 till 5, and then I've got a family that I have to look after. So, for me, the ability to just let the game play itself for a few hours is really good because it allows me to earn the ISK so that I can then actually play the bits of the game that I enjoy. Okay, so what you're saying is the game is so abysmally shit that you can't just pick it up for half an hour in an evening and have fun with it. You have to do all of this preparation ahead of time. EVE Online. People say, oh, I don't have time to play EVE Online. Yeah, you probably do. I can log into EVE Online for 15 to 30 minutes in an evening and feel like I've accomplished something meaningful. I sit down 15, 30 minutes later. I'm like, you know what? I've had fun and I've made a lot of progress. In EVE Echoes, what you're telling me is that you need to wake up and before you go to work, set your phone off to the side and let it auto run all day in order to achieve anything? So how is EVE Online worse at this point? Like, genuinely, you've got a game there that you can sit down and play for 15 to 30 minutes, and Echoes, which was supposed to be EVE Lite, is now the one that actually requires you to be dedicated in logging in doing all of this bullshit activities in order to reach the fun frickin' part of the game. And that is by design. What NetEase are doing is saying, you want to do this part of the game, but everything is so ridiculously expensive at this point, you have to do all of this. So you can either sit there and grind for hours, getting bored out of your mind, doing the same old repetitive PvE over and over again, or you can pay NetEase, and they'll give you an AI nanocore that allow you to automate that experience, but you're going to have to fuel it, and you're going to have to keep making little payments in order to keep that going. Or you can just make a big payment, swipe your credit card, buy Plex, and sell that Plex to people who have done the previous two options and are selling it on the market instead. Either way, you basically have three options. Spend, or go through a nightmarish grind in order to actually be able to do anything. And I said this to someone the other day who then commented back, oh, but I can do something in 15 minutes. I can do a couple of hauling jobs, or I can run one combat site. And it's like, yeah, okay. How much ISK do you get from that? Is that enough to do anything in-game? Because I'm pretty sure the answer is no. In EVE Echoes, if you were to log in for 15 to 30 minutes a night for a week, you're never getting anywhere. You need to be dedicated in logging in and running that freaking AI nanocore just to be able to actually play the fun frickin' part of the game. That's by design. NetEase are treating you like a schmuck and a chump, and from the comments section, some people really are schmucks and chumps who lap this up. Stop and think about it. You're paying them for the luxury of getting to the fun part of the game because they have arbitrarily put a bullshit, fucking boring section in front of it that you have to pay to skip. Anyway, let's move on to question 2 then, because otherwise we're going to spend an hour on this video and get through one at a time. So question number 2, in the case of a battleship, capital ship with lots of low, mid, and high slots, the strip ship fittings option is very helpful. But if we can have different options, like one with the default option strip ship fittings, and another option is strip without rigs or only modules, it'll be very helpful to quickly unfit and refit only modules. Is it really that slow just to go unfit, 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 unfit? It'll be very helpful to quickly unfit and refit only modules. Somehow I mistakenly ignore the warning and keep losing rigs and fittings changing during PvP and CTA when my mind is preoccupied with other things. 07 devs and happy birthday. Hi there, says in Pixie. Oh, so I didn't actually even answer the previous one. Currently, insurance prices are based on the cost of production. There are plans for optimization, but the specific details have not yet been determined. Stay tuned. In other words, expect nothing to ever change. This is some Pixie talking, and quite frankly, yeah, there's nothing ever going to happen with insurance because by design they want that system. Anyway, sorry, back to question 2. Hi there, fitting plan management allows you to save, share, and switch fittings. Let us know if this can help you. It can't. It's awful. It's god awful. It's a system that should have been revamped before the game fucking launched, but they didn't. So that idea that you can go into the fittings and that, I don't know, maybe they did fix it. It's been a long time since I honestly used it, but I do remember going in there and going, cool, well, I like this fit and I'm going to change it. And even though the rigs are the same, the game would destroy the rigs and go, oh, you don't have any new ones. It's like, well, why did you destroy the old ones, you freaking moron? Because it's programmed by netties. Now, ultimately, the best way to do this is to have multiple of the same ship, right? If you've got a load of different battleships that you use for PvE and PvP, get 2 of them. That's your PvP one, that's your PvE one. Then you don't have to keep changing the fittings. And what else are you doing with that ISK right now? Really? Like, come on. That said, yeah, should that user interface have been updated properly? Yeah, a long time ago. Does it freaking matter anymore? No, it really doesn't. We need serious fixes to this game, serious actual fixes to make this game viable. We need new players to be coming in. We need actual meaningful content for everyone to get involved in. We need to get rid of all the freaking paywalls, like I've just talked about. The fact that you have to sit there and log in freaking daily and let your phone autoplay for hours at a time if you want to achieve anything in this game. All of that needs fixing, not just, oh, please make it so I don't have to tap the screen. Question number 3, because Jesus Christ, people, just there's quality of life, and then there's verging on moving into the end sequences of Wall-E. You know what I'm talking about. Question 3. Hey there, could you add a feature that auto-stacks packaged items when transferred from either ship or store? It would help keeping the hangars organized without having to select all and stack, then wait 10 minutes as it processes. 10 minutes is a slight exaggeration there, mate. Thank you all and keep up the stellar work. 1, you spelt Stella wrong. It's not Stella Artois. It's not wife beater. Let's, in fact, that might even be spelled differently. Stella, A, Stellar, if you're talking stars, Stella. And no, stellar work. Sorry, are you and I playing the same game? Because no, this is not stellar work. Unless you enjoy having your wallet absolutely obliterated by devs who have no care for gameplay and only want to see you swiping, then yeah, sure, stellar work. Hi, different players have different needs for item stacking. This feature may not be convenient for all players. However, you can try using the auto stack feature together with the list system, which may have unexpected effects. So first of all, let me tackle the question here. Yeah, I don't want things to auto stack every time I move them. To me, that's actually really awkward. Genuinely, I like having different stacks of different things around, and all it takes if you want to stack everything is, tap select all, and then stack all. Wow, 2 buttons. And if the waiting is that much of a problem, then, well, go put a kettle on. Go kiss a loved one. Go do something. It's 2 minutes. 2 minutes of your life. Jesus fecking Christ, how easy is your life that the biggest thing you have to worry about is, oh, I have to watch my phone process. Lord almighty. No, please don't, devs. There's no need for a system like that. There's perfectly functional ways of stacking. Yeah, they could do with cleaning up the freaking code so it runs a little bit faster. But netties are never going to optimize code because it's not how they work as a business. They are iterative. They are additive. Sorry, not iterative. They don't iterate on ideas. They don't go back and change code. They just slap more on top of it. That is how NetEase works as a business. You are not going to change that. Eve Echoes is not going to be any different to every single other NetEase game out there on the market in terms of how they work, because it's a business. We're talking about the second largest gaming company in China, fourth largest in the world, I think. They're not going to change their ways because, oh, you can't wait 10 seconds for it to stack. And it's not 10 minutes, it is closer to 10 seconds. Believe me, I've gone through entire hangars and done that. And I have some of the messiest hangars in game because of that whole wanting to split things up. Do I think you could add a toggle to this? No, I don't even think we need that. If you want to stack everything, freaking stack everything. It's there in the game. But this is hilarious. You could try using the auto stack feature together with the list system, which may have unexpected effects. Even the devs don't know what their game does anymore. Question number 4, then, before I just, crawl back into bed and die for the day because crikey. Could you please implement an automated loot split mechanic? Oh, looting. Apparently it's too difficult for people. Similar to the equal shares bounty distribution that currently exists. Manual loot splits take a lot of time and worry, and although it's an interesting design challenge, it would really boost how my corp rats together. Please take the decisions away from us. Please. I can't handle having to manage loot. Good lord. For a game with complex market economy system, the evaluation of item value is primarily based on players. In such cases, it'd be very difficult for the system to allocate items with different values that fluctuate. One possible solution is to conduct auctions using corporation points. However, this approach would be too difficult to understand. We need to take some time to discuss its feasibility. Oh, NPixie, too difficult to understand. Yeah, probably, because I have zero faith that NetEase have anyway of actually implementing a functional system that doesn't require... Well, yeah, anyway. So they are right here, and that genuinely hurts a little bit to say, but they are right here that valuation is primarily based on players. Market value is based on what players are buying and selling at. This fluctuates. So you could theoretically say when when we are ratting, the game is going to look at the loot that is available and it is going to try and allocate it so that this person gets that loot, this person gets that loot. But how do you do that? Because ships all get destroyed at different times. So the second a wreck appears, it's already had its loot table done. We know what is in, well, the game knows what's in that cargo container. If you've got 10 people in the fleet and there are 3 items in that cargo container, how do you divvy those up? Let's assume that they're 3 equal value according to the market items. How does the game divvy that up? Does it have to then go, right, well, I'm going to give one to player 1, one to player 2, and one to player 3. Then the next container opens, and it's got 3 more items of equal value. That goes to player 4, player 5, player 6. Then we get to player 7, player 8, player 9 with the third container. Another 4th container still has 3 items. So player 10 gets 1 item, then player 1 and player 2 get 2 items again. Oh, and the site's over. Now player 1 and player 2 have got 2 items each, whereas everyone else only got 1. How's that fair? There is no way to make that system fair using a sort of in-game mechanic because of how loot drops. Otherwise, you get a situation where, oh, this item's worth 10 million, this item's worth 1 million, this item's worth 1 million, this item's worth 1 million. We're going to give the 10 million to that, and we're going to give... What, do you give each of those 1 million and then have to remember that this guy got the 10 million one, and so that all of the next bits of loot you stack onto these to try and reach that point? Do you see how this gets complex? Do you see how this gets complex? This is another one of those questions that, again, attacking the question, not the person asking it. If you stop and try and think about this for a brief moment of time, there's no way to make that work. You've either got to have the game try and remember what it's already given you and figure out that that's part of the same site, or you're going to have a system that just round robins it. And it's therefore inevitably going to end up unfair because, oh, it's your turn to get an item. Oh, congratulations, you got the Billionisk item. Oh, and then you got the carbon. There is no viable way to do this in the game. This is the kind of thing that player input is required for. And why are you all so scared of player input in an MMO? Like, yes, I get it. I've been there with Void doing the whole thing of, well, we've run this site, I've looted it all, now I need to hand that off to someone who's going to divvy the loot up and spread it out and all this kind of thing. It's a complex thing, but it's a game. Corporation management is part of the game, and loot handling is also a part of that. Why are people so averse to actually having to play something? No, please, just automate the game for me. I can't do it. Don't know why I went Scottish there. I think it's because I'm doing the whole Simon Pegg Scotty thing, and it just makes me want to do a Scottish accent. But no, the point I'm getting at here is that just people are so averse to actual gameplay in this. I want to automate everything. I want, to just be able to literally switch on and just it goes. We're going to have a point soon where the whole game just becomes an idle game. Everything will be completely automated because even the stuff that is heavily reliant on players, you've got people asking for it to be automated. And knowing netties, they'll find a way to try and automate it. And Pixie says, it'd be difficult to understand. We need to take some time to discuss its feasibility. Yeah, because you're trying to use a corporation auction. What they will end up doing is coming up with a half-baked system that doesn't actually do what it's supposed to do, but people rely on it anyway. Rely on your friends and colleagues. That's the entire point of a game like this. If you can't figure out how to handle that, you join a corp that can. It's not difficult. It's really not difficult. Stop trying to automate the entire game away. Anyway, folks, 4 incredibly depressing questions. Nothing at all interesting there other than a nice discussion about how insurance works, or rather doesn't, because the game is set up in such a way that it is inspiring you to consistently and constantly be making payments in order to reach any form of fun in the game. Otherwise, come on, people. Oh, I can't wait 10 seconds to process. Oh, I can't tap enough buttons to strip fittings. Find a way around it. Fix the game meaningfully. Can we please? I know it comes down to the devs choosing which questions they want to ask, but if we stop asking the fucking dumb questions, they don't have them to choose, right? Ask good questions. Please. Please, I'm begging you. Let's make this game better.